on here. All right, so welcome. Today's topic of discussion is operator reality versus myths and what true operators, real operators possess versus what people think they are or have, which a lot of it is kind of put out there by a lot of frauds on social media, a lot of internet myths and hearsay from guys that tried that didn't make it. There's like a whole bunch of reasons why there's a lot of bullshit out there, but that's just the way it is. Bear with me, man. I'm trying to copy this link to send to a couple people that need to see this. So stand by. This is YouTube Studio. I don't know why the link is not up on there. Let me try to YouTube that. Anybody there? Didn't get any questions yet. Or check-ins, really. Because I don't want to, I'm not going to post this one anywhere. So I'm just going to go live. All right, we got two people. Who's out there? Shu? Dave? All right, let me go ahead and get started because I can't figure out how to find this thing. Let's see if I can share it one more way. Share. All right, what's up, Chuck? That was fun. What's up, Chuck? I know you probably don't think that's funny, and it's probably not the first time you heard that. I'm just waiting until I get a couple on here, man, and then I'm gonna start rambling. Ramble fest. Uh, pet peeves. You guys, any of you all followed me for a little bit, you know about my pet peeves. Sometimes I talk about them and I number them. So yeah. Well, let me see. So technically, in inadequate, technologically technology knowledge. All right. Send one more thing. All right, here we go. Who's up? What do we got? The sucky thing about this YouTube app is I can't see who's on. So whatever, doesn't matter. Welcome to Patreon, to the live stream, guys. If this is your first one, cheers. If it's not your first one, cheers. Thanks for following. Sitting here with some Silencio coffee. Anyways, all right. So heard me talk about operators, right? The O word. Mr. Chuck Wagon, I got you here. Thank you, sir. So, anyways, reality versus myth. So, first of all, let's talk about one thing in my mind that kind of bugs me is the word operator and how it's overly used. Everybody calls themselves operators now. Anywhere from everyone from Navy SEALs on the white side to Rangers to Green Berets and SWAT cops, Coast Guard cops, or Coast Guard assaulters and reaction teams. Everybody's an operator now. When I was growing up, where I came from in the Army, most of y'all know I was in the Army, and you know where I was in the Army. There was only two units that operators came from in SOF, in military special operations, right? That was the Army, Delta, and SEAL Team 6 for the Navy. Everybody else in SOF, SOCOM, US SOCOM was, you know, kind of inherence with their units. So Army Rangers, Navy SEALs, US Army Special Forces, Green Berets, uh, Marine Force Recon, or now MARSOC. MARSOC, they coined the term critical skills operator for their graduates of their OTC course. Now, everybody has an OTC course, right? Even STS guys have an OTC course. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It's verbiage. It's a fucking word, right? It doesn't matter. It's kind of blown up because everybody thinks it's cool. One thinks they're special, but wants to be. Um, so let's just dive right into this. That with that back foundation laid, that background. I have here some notes that you'll see me gathering down every now and again, just to kind of stay in track. And a lot of this will be coming off because when I put I put the the phony side versus the real side, and my list of real side traits are long. My list of phony side traits will probably come right from the brain, but I have like two things written down just because I was trying to jot down some notes and wasn't able to really come up with what I was looking for. It usually comes from the passion of the conversation. So, an operator, all that aside, where they come from, who they work for, whatever. Real operators are usually very professional individuals, right? And that's one of the criteria their the choice to hire them is made is based on their professionalism. There's a whole laundry list of qualities that they're looking for, but professionalism is one, right? Who's not the whiner, who's not the crybaby, who's not the complainer, who's the loud guy that's overly loud that talks all the time, who's the guy that's humorous, the jokester, right? That guy that's always cracking jokes and making shitty comments. That's kind of along the lines of professionalism, or not along the lines of professionalism. Um, so that is one trait. That's probably one of the more important traits. And that kind of ties in with my next one, which is maturity. For professionalism is the one trait that sought like you can't not have that and get selected for whatever unit you're trying out for. Now, keeping in mind that standards over the last 2 decades have changed because what the DoD has saw fit to try to do was mass produce special operations forces, which we all know can't be done, not if you want to do it correctly. But they're trying, right? They're opening up the floodgates and trying to get people in there. But you know what? Those folks they're washing out on the backside. Give you one example. They opened special operations, the ability to try out for special operations units to females, right? And I have no issues with women. If they are physically tough enough and mentally tough enough and they can complete the same events that I completed successfully, and yeah, maybe they do deserve a place there. Okay. But we all know that that's not the case, right? Things get changed, standards get changed, and they were changed. If you think weren't, you're lying to yourself, because they absolutely weren't. Um, so there's one female Green Beret. I kind of watched her go through, not physically watched her like a stalker, but tracked her progress through the Q course because I knew some instructors out at SWIC. And she was, a 18 Charlie student. She graduated. I remember going out to range 69 on Bragg to coordinate some demo training for my guys. And the 18 Charlie course is out there. And I knew the NCOIC, the head guy out there. He's a good friend of mine. And we're talking. He's like, yeah, man, the new, that female's in this course right now, 18 Charlie student. I was like, whoa, really? How's she doing? He's like, yeah, she's doing pretty good. She's, learning all the stuff they're learning. She hasn't done any testing or anything yet. So and the psych testing. She made it. She made it through successfully all the phases of the Army Special Forces course. And then I guess one night she was home in her apartment, and I'm just going off old here what I heard on the news, but basically he cracked off a round. I don't know if it's her carry pistol that she carried around, but she had an accidental or negligent discharge in her apartment, which penetrated the wall, went through into the other next apartment next door. I don't think anyone got hurt, but the police were called because of the shooting, and investigation was done. And anyways, this woman had an accidental discharge. I believe she was fired from SF. I don't know that her tab got revoked. I don't know about that, but like I know it's not an SF anymore, I'm pretty sure. And that AD thing, that is not a physical uh portion, or I don't know how to word it right. It's not a physical characteristic. Like that was a mental issue, and it's not because she's a woman. There's guys that have fucking ADs and NDs every day of the fucking week. So I don't attribute that accidental discharge to her being a female. Not at all. It was just she was a victim of her own circumstance. But she got fired. And you know, I think there's some women in I don't know if there's any in Buds. I thought I heard one trying out for Buds and a couple trying out for Buds. Anyways, I'm getting on a tangent here and I'm trying not to, but that's kind of one of the examples of how standards have changed to mass produce soft. Not just mass produce soft guys or girls, but to adjust society, the military culture to be more politically correct as we do in our civilian society or general society. You can't have a force, an effective fighting force in the special operations world if you're going to change your standards and lower your standards to account to bring in more people. If that makes sense. Another trait I mentioned earlier was maturity. Maturity was a big one when I was coming through. It's not as much anymore because in Army they got rid of the requirement for in other words, a young person off the street could join the Army and enlist with an option to try out for special forces. They would have to go through infantry school, airborne school, then they would get a chance to try out for special forces assessment and selection. That was not an option when I came in. If it was, I probably would have tried it, honestly, because that's why I joined the Army, was to become a Green Beret. But it wasn't an option. I had to serve for a minimum of X amount of months. I think it was like 2 years. I had to be at E4, and you had to meet some other requirements: GT score, physical background, blah blah blah. Maturity is important because I've seen a lot of young SF Green Berets come through that were not mature. That probably would have been better Green Berets if they were a little older and a little more experienced. But that was one of those things where the Army needed to increase the special operations side of the manning, the force. And they did that. And it's still in effect today, and it probably will stay that way. I'm sure there's great SF guys that were SF babies. Not everybody's an immature little kid, but maturity was definitely not the top of the forefront for requirements. Another operator trait that's sought after is the ability to work alone without an overly abundant amount of instruction or orders or details to complete a certain task or mission. So an SF operator, now I'm saying it, an operator, special operations operator, needs to be able to work alone without supervision and instruction and someone breathing down their neck. Uh, in addition to that, they need to work well in a team environment. You have to have that personality, and this is absolutely a personality-driven business to blend with the team and work well and interact and give ideas, receive ideas, process feedback, so on and so forth, without being an asshole or an introvert and just shutting down and keeping to yourself. Like that won't fly. Bottom line, I saw guys like that and they eventually go away. Um, Personality. I kind of circle back to the good personality. Not really a good personality. You gotta have the right personality. You don't have to be the guy that everybody loves, but you got to be kind of likable. You got to be able to work with. You got to play well with others. That ties in with working on a team. Um, Overall standards as far as physical fitness, intelligence level, um, the ability to make decisions, all those are important, but they're not searching for the person that's the best at it. You have a saying when we run selection forces. We're not looking for the best person. We're looking for the right person. And that can apply to physical fitness. We're not looking necessarily for the guy that scores a 500 on a extended scale on a 300 point total Army physical fitness test. We're looking for the guy that's in great shape, that's physically fit and can, endure physical stress and continue the mission. But he doesn't have to be the best. He doesn't have to be the strongest. He doesn't need to be able to bench 300 pounds. He doesn't have to be the fastest and run a 10-minute 2 mile. He doesn't have to be the smartest guy in the world, a little Einstein or a super high IQ score or AT score or whatever score. But he has to have a good intellectual, smart mind. He can't be a dumbass. Sorry. That offends some people's feelings. Hurts some people's feelings. Um, So those are kind of the majority attributes that are found in operators. You hear about flight professionals, they typically are, but there's been a few loudmouths. I'm not gonna lie, there's some loudmouths out there, uh, especially on the Navy side. And sorry, I was looking at a comment. Make sure you guys leave comments so I can read them. I think I got one check in, but anyways, what was I saying? Not the best, but the right person. Oh yeah, so those are the majority of the general traits, right? We're looking for, or they're looking for, in an operator. Now let's talk about some of the fiction, some of the internet bullshit. My favorite subject. Um, Number one, not all operators have full sleeve tattoos, nor are they required to have full sleeve tattoos. And in fact, some don't have any tattoos. Um, I have had teammates, really high speed, squared away motherfuckers that would door kicking, fucking take no prisoner, shoot mofos in the face operators that didn't have a bit of ink on their bodies, no tattoos. When I see, the operator esque pictures on the internet and videos, and you see the guys at the full, they're all sleeved out or whatever. Whatever, man. That's kind of a fashion thing now, right? To like women get full sleeve tattoos. Like it's not really a symbol of toughness. It's more of a symbol of art and expressing yourself, which I'm all about because I do have some tattoos. Falsehood number two: not all operators wear beards. Um, I have had beards on and off. Beards in my line of work were an operational requirement, and I'm typing a text. And I was told to grow a beard or said you should grow a beard because of the mission or the environment that I was in. Not you don't graduate the Q course and automatically are allowed to start growing a beard. When I was on an ODA, my first team started fucking hated beards, and we were not allowed to grow beards. There was a couple times where we were out like doing stuff operationally, or like sitting in a fucking hole in the ground for 3 days. Then you can't help it because you're not going to shave. So, like I said, it's an operational thing based on the requirements, environment. Are you in an area where you're trying to blend in, and all the military age males have facial hair or mustaches or goatees or whatever their culture is a lot having them do. Sometimes it's a I'm going to be in an austere environment and I don't have the facilities to shave, so I might grow my shit out for 2 weeks. So, just got a comment. Got it. You're here. Excellent. So, beards are not an operator requirement, nor are you allowed to grow beards at your beck and call. It's normally you're asked to do it. I remember doing a trip in Baghdad where the troop sergeant came up to me and was like, Fred, you need to grow a beard this trip. I'm like, yep, roger that. Bing, I had a beard just like that. All right, next falsehood. That was the only two I wrote down. Those are the ones that drive me nuts. Let's talk about kit. And this is kind of stupid and probably a little childish on my part, but I am a big child. Um, some of the kit guys wear, they think it's cool because everybody's doing it. Uh, and I'm going to tell you, if I was your team leader, showed up on my team with this, to go conduct CQB training, I'd probably rip it off your belt. The fucking range bags or the dump pouches, those big fucking giant sacks that are hanging off your belt to throw spare magazines or empty magazines in. Those things are great for the flat range. If you're working in a position and you're, kneeling by a vehicle, you can throw mags in there and whatever. But I would never wear them operationally because that motherfucker will snag on everything inside a house that you can possibly snag onto. I don't care if you wear it over your butt or whatever. It's just one piece of kit that there's many out there that are ridiculous, but guys wear them because, shooting experts on Instagram or YouTube say it's cool to wear them and they should wear them. I will tell you, I do own a couple and I don't use them much, but when I do use them, you know what I use them for? I use them to catch or to keep brass in. When I pick up brass at the end of the range day, I throw them in there. Or if I'm working drills and I want to do it throughout the time. I don't want to do it all at the end. I'll wear a dump pouch and I'll unroll it on my belt and I'll throw brass in there. And that's it. That's the only time I've ever used the dump pouch. Not to be confused with a breacher's bag or a charge bag, like a drop leg charge bag. Because when I was a breacher, I used to fuck out of those things. Just because I didn't have enough places to put charges, because I was carrying a few different kinds of charges. So yeah, different kit that guys wear kind of makes them. I don't know. It don't make them look stupid, but like a real operator watching guys, especially on here or YouTube or somewhere, it's kind of like, why are they doing it? Hey, if you guys have a comment about a stereotype or something you see or had a question about, go ahead and hit me up with it, man, because I might run out of stuff to start talking about, or to keep talking about. I've jotted some notes down, but like my memory comes and goes. Um, and I was only going to try to keep this to 20 minutes, and I'm already at like 25 minutes. So I'm going to get on here and Google special operations operator in the images and see what comes up. Let's see what we got. Go to images. Oh, Yes, helmet accessories. um, Gosh damn, man, there's so many doodads now, dudes who run around in their helmet. Alls I remember is when I was an operator, we're in kit 10 hours a night, every night, sometimes longer than that if I had multiple targets, thinking about how goddamn heavy is my head right now? And my neck is sore. Like, I wish I could take this fucking stupid thing off. And yes, technology has evolved and helmets have gotten lighter, ballistic materials have gotten lighter, padding systems. But then the devices that you put on your melon have multiplied over the years. Now, are necessary, right? So, like, here's what I had on my helmet. I don't have a helmet up there, I just have a couple of gun belts, but I ran an IR invisible strobe on my helmet to signal aircraft or friendly forces on the ground for situation awareness. So if you had night vision goggles on, you can know that Fred was on the end of the assault line over there, or Fred's sniper position was on that rooftop right there. And I couldn't be mistaken for bad guys, and nobody would drop a JDAM on me, which is a bad day, right? Um, Patches like call signs, you don't need a call sign in your helmet. Typically, if you're on a 6-man team or a 4-man team, whatever, everybody on the team knows who everybody is in the dark. Even in a troop, when there's like multiple assault teams, everybody pretty much knows everybody because you work together so much. Like, there's no need for a call sign on my head. Some people do it as an SOP, and that's fine. Um, Another thing is a light. Like, a light is a requirement, I would say. Whether it's an IR or a Viz light, you probably should have one that does both. And there's many different models. There's little ones that have the little arms that clip on the rails. Some guys like me would just Velcro a Surefire, stick it to the helmet. That was in the old days before the helmet mounted lights. We didn't have rails. Um, I did have, I did drill and screw a rail into one of my ballistic helmets and mounted a like a gun light on there for a while, which had both IR and visible capability. But some type of light, both with infrared capability and visible capability, something low that you could kind of dim down, right? Like a red lens light or something like that, or blue lens light. That's more helpful than a bright ass white LED light. The lights now are all fancy and expensive. They have different power settings and brightness settings and filters and all that shit. So, I mean, those are kind of necessary. Now, there was a time where we were trying to get really lightweight because I was on a climbing team and like trim the ounces because ounces equal pounds. And we take our night vision goggles, which were on top of our helmets, they snap down in front of your eyes and zip tie a really small, I think it was a Petzl headlamp. It was zip tied right to one of my tubes, and everybody did it. It was a thing. It was the old hotness back then, and you could you could be under nods and you need and you snap them up and you click the light, and the light would shine down at whatever your head was because the nods are angled up, but they would be zip tied to the bottom. If I think about it, I'll take some pictures or video and show on the Instagrams or something like that what I'm talking about because I still have my old headlamp that I use for that. And I do have night vision goggles that I run it with. Um, Helmet accessories, battery packs, right? If you're using nods for extended periods of time, like 10, 12 plus hours, like we were, extended battery packs are helpful and that does add weight. I've seen, I even have RE Factor tactical helmet covers. I have two that have the counterbalance weights in the back. Oh man, how do I saw the comment pop up. I will answer that question momentarily. Let me finish this train of thought. I just had it, just clicked it, and now it's on screen. Um, Counterbalance weights. In my, I've been playing with them for like the last couple months. I bought, I did a review for RE Factor Tactical's helmet cover, and it's pretty badass, right? You may include a 1 pound up to 1 pound weights. My thought on the weights were, well, why would I add more weight to my head, right? you go to the gym and you work your neck muscles. That's what helps you hold your nods and all your shit on your helmet up with, because you start getting that fatigue in your back of your neck muscles, the rear neck. But I was playing with those things, and they have some validity by countering out or balancing out the weight in the front to in the back. But the bottom line is it's still heavy, and you're still adding more weight, compressing down on your cervical spine. Um, so you get some positive effects and get some negative effects. But that's just kind of a. I'm not going to dive into the helmet and other kit. Like, just know that there's a lot of bullshit people put on their kit because it thinks it makes them look like an operator. And that was the whole point of that. Now, this question: how about Insta operators running minimal spare mags, no team behind them? How many mags would you carry if you were operating alone? That's a mission dependent question, an environment dependent question, because here's why, BA. I remember carrying as many as 12 rifle magazines on my body at once, or as little as 3 spare mags, not including what's in my gun. If I was doing a hostage rescue and it was really fast, I would go with limited amounts of magazines because I don't need 10, 6. I didn't even need a basic load because we had speedballs to resupply with it. But for some reason, we had an extended gunfight. So we could always self resupply if we needed to. When I was in an ODA, that was a different story. I was rolling with 12 magazines, but I was in a mounted SR unit or SR team. So when we weren't sitting in a fucking hide site for 3 days, we were rolling around in gun trucks with all the fucking. I had all my bullets, like all the bullets and all the magazines, and we did get into some sustained gunfights. So where it kind of helped me out, it definitely paid off. Another consideration is: are you on a climbing, like a specialty team, like a climbing team? Are you climbing a caving ladder to a rooftop with a hook and pole? Because if you're loaded down with like a shitload of magazines, that's going to suck. That's going to become a PT event. And there's other advanced skills to ascend and descend buildings and different structures that I'm not going to get into, where the requirement for your basic load might vary. Aircraft assaults, there's no. You're not going to need 12 magazines on an aircraft assault. You might need 2, 1 in a gun and 1 reload, because you might have a malfunction where you need to conduct a reload. Those targets go down that fast, so you don't need a shitload of ammo. Plus, I got buddies that are carrying ammo too, that I can take one from them if need be. So hopefully, BS that answered your, or BA that answered your question. BS. Right. All right, where was I? Ooh, I went in the weeds. Operator falsehoods and fantasies. So I'm looking at pictures, and that's going to help me. Oh, here's another one. And this is actually real. Some guys do it, cutting off your sleeves because of the heat, or because I have sleeve tattoos and big arms, and I need to show it off while I'm holding guns and taking sexy snapshots. Right. There was a time in my unit where guys were cutting their sleeves off their uniforms because it was hot as fuck. I was never a big sleeve chopper. I like the protection of long sleeves because I've been in fucking tight gunfights where spalling is ricocheting off walls and shit, and like you're getting hit with the spalling and the fragmentation of bricks and little pieces of rocks and shit. That shit will fuck you up, man. You got eye protection on, you got your hearing protection on, and you got your gloves and your skin protection on for a fucking reason. That shit is no joke. Now, is every day like that? No, that's worst case scenario. So yeah, guys chop their sleeves off, or now they wear those lacrosse jerseys, or not lacrosse, rugby jerseys, right? Velocity makes. I actually have a couple of those. They're badass when I'm in the shoot house and it's hot as fuck out and I'm standing up on the catwalk, air horning dudes. Like, I love those things because they're very cool and they wick sweat off your body and evaporate it. I guess I kind of jumped on the majority. I don't want to make this too long, but there's some stuff out there, and I just want to make people aware that real operators don't do a lot of this nonsense, and it's become this like bastard child of the internet, for lack of a better description of what operators are. Does that make sense? Rangers are not operators. SEALs are not operators unless they're in SEAL Team 6. MARSOC guys are not operators. They're called critical skills operators. And I guess I'm going to leave it on that, man. But I'm going to wait for a couple comments, last minute questions. I'm going to sign off here in a bit, man. But I hope you guys enjoyed this and found it informative and thought provoking. Right, as always, I try to invoke some of the thought process, because I do get hit up with a lot of DMs, a lot of questions about, hey, did you do this? Did you do this? And they're valid questions, and I have no issues answering them. And please send them if you got them. Comment if you have it. Okay, BA, there's a great one. Here's a great one. So back panels, I don't know what your background is, so I'm just going to answer this like somebody that doesn't know a goddamn thing. So please don't let me insult your intelligence. Back panels are not just for you. Because think about flashbangs. That's the perfect scenario. I always ran 3 back bangers on the top of my back plate, 3 banger pouches, but they're not for me. I kept one on my side that I could reach if I needed a banger in a pinch. But if I'm a one man and I'm pulling security, I'm holding on a door, my 2 man or whoever is back there, it could be the 3 man off the 2 man back, is getting the banger, prepping the banger and getting it ready and showing it to the lead assaulter. So stuff on my back's not always for me. When I was a canine guy, I had a blowout kit for my canine. Guess where I kept it? Where I could get to it, because I'm probably going to be the one working on my dog if he gets hit. My blowout kit was on my back. Now, does that make sense? I have limited real estate. If I get wounded and I need a blowout kit, my medic's not in close proximity. I had tourniquets, and I did have a hemostatic dressing in reach on the front. I think in my I had 2 tourniquets, one on each side of my kit, and then I had hemostatic dressing in my cargo pocket, I think on my pants, if I needed to. Plus, eventually I ran one of those blowout kits you could reach and rip off. It would like break away if you pulled like a strap out or something, and it was like wired in, weaved in. But I had 2 blowout kits, one for the dog, one for me, and I couldn't reach mine, but I could reach my dogs because I'd probably be the one working on the dog. Another one is a tagline. So a dead body, or what we thought would be a dead body, could be a suicide bomber waiting to clap himself off. We would run a tagline around them and kind of move them around and flip them over to clear the body, right? To check the body for booby traps and clear it. And if I'm pulling security and I got a buddy coming up to go do that, I'm holding security. That guy's pulling that line off my back to do it. So it's not always for you, the shit on your back. Your water probably is if you're running a Camelback. You might have some extra magazines that you have inverted so you can pull them out if you need them. What else did we have? Night vision goggles sometimes in a quick release pouch. It just depends on what your mission set is and how you like your Ranger kit. So hopefully that was a good answer for you. Canine blowout kit. Everything that I had in my blowout kit, plus extra chest seals because they're hairy motherfuckers, and you need to overlap multiple chest seals on a dog to get it to actually seal. Normally we'd run tourniquets, hemostatic dressings, Curlex, cravats, bite blocks. Not really any airway stuff for a dog. What else did I have in my canine? That was about it. And then like IV starter kit, maybe if I had access to fluids. So yeah. All right, guys. So hopefully that was informative, and I'm glad you came. Yeah, appreciate you chiming in. I'm gonna sign off because I got to do a Patreon one-on-one video chat with one of my boys. You guys have a good one. Later, players.